Alright, so this is a personal video to me about being mixed race. Now, I don't know what race you are. I don't know if you're black, white, Asian, Chinese, or Arab. But my point is, I'm a mixed race person, and this is just like how it is being mixed race. And you always get put into this, oh, do you feel you're more Indian, or do you feel you're more black? Do you feel you're more this, or do you feel you're more that? But you're just yourself, bro. And I feel like all mixed race people can relate to this one, especially when it comes to different cultures, especially like if you're white and black, or Asian and Chinese, or if you're like half Arab, half African, or whatever. You can relate to the whole like which one, like trying to put you in a box kind of category of, oh, like, do you relate to this more? Do you relate to that more? And it's just like, you're just a person. And I feel like in society, everybody gets put into these boxes. Everybody gets put into these sort of categories that like, oh, if you're emo, you must be like this. Or oh, if you're into rap music, you must be like a confident guy. And, it's just a bunch of nonsense. Like, oh, if you're fat, you must be jolly. And it's just, it's kind of like stereotyping people a bit. And I just feel like, my personal opinion on all these things is like, it's just a bit silly. And I just think that people put people into categories of, oh, if you're like this, then you can get these kind of women, or if you're like that, you can get these type of women, and women are attracted to this. And it's all a bit of like a mumble, because to me it's like, I was raised by an Asian mom. My mom is Asian, and that I'm half black. So my dad is from the Caribbean. He's from an island called Saint Lucia. It's like a small little island in the Caribbean. And for me myself, growing up like being half black and half Asian, it's kind of cool, because I grew up in UK. I grew up in London, and there's a lot of mixture and variety of people. But I feel like people put people into groups, and people try to categorize people. But when you're someone who kind of floats about, because I'm like half Asian, half black, and like I got friends who are black, and I got friends who are Asian, and my friends who are black and my friends who are Asian would probably never hang out with each other, or never actually. I got completely different kinds of groups of people, friends, where some of my friends love Jamaican music, some of my friends like Bollywood music, and I feel like it's a cool combination. But I just feel like, when it comes to the world and people putting people into groups, and society's trying to like, segregate people, and, you're either this side or you're this side, or you support these views or you support these views, but there's no ever middle ground in the world. And I feel like middle grounds are kind of missing, especially like videos like Jubilee, where they put people, I don't know if you've seen this channel called Jubilee, like they put people into groups like this side versus this side, or this team versus this team. But the world isn't like that. There's a lot of gray areas in the world. There's a lot of, being in the world where, you can have like an opinion, or you can agree with people from both sides. And I feel like that's kind of like missing in the world now, where people are either like, oh, men are like this, or men are like this, or people are like this and people are like this. But someone who's mixed myself, I kind of have this like gray area where I can enjoy Indian food, but I can also enjoy Caribbean food. I can also enjoy, Jamaican food. I can also enjoy, some jollof chicken, or like, jollof rice or jollof chicken and barbecue sauce. But then I can also enjoy like Asian food and Asian cuisine. And I think that, there's always like a middle ground. And sometimes in reality, when you watch videos and things, sometimes it's good to follow people, or actually subscribe to people that you might not agree with, just so you can have more of a middle ground of views, and you're not just into this like rabbit hole or cycle of seeing the same kind of content and seeing the same kind of posts and the same kind of view on the world and all these things. And a lot of issues in the world at the moment, and people have their opinions on climate change, they have their opinions on, whatever they have their opinions on, and that's fine. But I just feel like people get put into these groups, especially when you get into the rabbit hole of seeing the same content on your TikTok. Sometimes it's good to like refresh your page, or actually like have a different TikTok account, so sometimes you can see different kind of content, and not just be in a. Sometimes people go into incognito mode when you're watching videos on YouTube. Sometimes like try to go into incognito mode and try and like watch other kinds of videos, or try to see a different point of view, and not just trying to see the world for black and white or gray, and it has to be like this. Sometimes there is middle flow in the world, and I feel like that's kind of where people go wrong. Is people always like believe like, oh, if they have these kind of friends, then they're going to be like this, or if you hang around these kind of people, you're going to be like that. And you've got to have friends that are all successful, because otherwise you won't be successful. And it's just nonsense, bro. Like, relax, enjoy your life. Even like I said, I made a video on why alcohol is bad, but if you enjoy alcohol and you're not addicted and you enjoy going and partying, there's nothing wrong with that either. I think that people live this world of, it's got to be like this or it's got to be like that. And, if you enjoy my videos, I really appreciate that. But try and actually always, get different like content creators, get different points of views on things, always like critical think, always use your brain and try to like critically understand the world and not just see the world from one point of view. It's always good to like look around. When you cross the road, there always say you got to look left and you got to look right when you're crossing the road. So that's what I'm trying to say. Like, don't just look at life from like one perspective. It's always good to like actually have a mixed background or mixed like perspective on things, and me myself, I've always had that from day one. But really hope you enjoy these videos. If you do, just comment my opinion, like comment your opinion on what you want me to talk about next.